Welcome back. You're watching news from Kazakhstan. I'm Askar Sheraliyev, and here are the headlines. Another video confession of Vladislav Chelak was spread by the media. This time, the bodyguard described how he killed his fellow soldiers to the psychiatrists. Law enforcement continue to keep silence about the detention of former governor of Atarau region, Bergey Rizkaliyev. Some publications claim that the state official is under house arrest. The examination of the case of inciting social hatred will continue on Monday, August 27. The judge satisfied the petition of the attorney to postpone the hearing due to the death of attorney's mother. The scandal around the former governor of Atarau region, Bergey Rizkaliyev, is escalating. If previously there was information that he was detained while trying to flee the country, now some publications claim, referring to their sources, that the ex-governor was put under house arrest. Meanwhile, the law enforcement are not disclosing any official information. The leadership of the region was already replaced, and the new governor of the West Kazakhstan region took his team to Atarau. More details in the next report.
The internet is awash with speculation about the fate of the former Atarau region governor. Allegedly, Bergey Rizkaliyev and his brother, Member of Parliament Amanjan, were arrested for conspiring to and then organizing a criminal group. Amanjan Rizkaliyev held membership in Akjol party chaired by Azat Piruashev, who chooses not to believe the rumors, at least for now. So far, I believe we need to refer to the official data. There have been no official statements in relation to either Bergey or Amanjan Rizkaliyev. In the end, Amanjan is an independent person and not his brother's shadow. Also, as he correctly pointed out, he is a member of our faction. But anything is possible in Kazakhstan, says former deputy governor of Pavlodar region. Serikbay Alibayev believes that any state official can be accused, even a minister or cabinet head. The politician also points out that when Rizkaliyev became governor, he already enjoyed notoriety, although the current noise has been blown out of proportion. The fall looks to be quite busy indeed, and this is why we need a distraction from bigger, tragic events, such as Zhanaozen, Arkan-Kirgen, and the most recent mass killing. This is nothing but a deliberate diversion. Meanwhile, Atarau region is going through a frenzy of official posts reshuffling. On Monday, the former deputy head of the regional administration, Serik Aydarbekov, was appointed as an acting head, and the regional police department chief has been replaced as well. While all this was going on, the lone Afghan war veteran staged a one-man protest at the administration headquarters. On Monday, Samalik Jolayev literally found himself with no roof over his head. He says he survived 5 governors waiting for housing. The regional administration was given a new head after Rizkaliyev, but the situation has not changed. Jolayev fought in 2 wars in Afghanistan and Egypt and is a decorated soldier. Nevertheless, he has been on the waiting list for housing for almost 25 years. First, officials lost the veteran's papers, and he had to reapply and start from scratch. On March 7th this year, I met the new governor, but he did not even listen to me and just kicked me out. He told me to get lost, like I am a lowlife. I had been waiting for a whole year and made an appointment, while he did not even want to talk to me. This is a mess. The Afghan war veteran is determined to have his problem resolved. Yesterday, the desperate man decided to spend the night next to the administration building.
While mass media is actively involved in discussing rumors about the ex-governor of Atarau region, the residents of the area are recalling the time spent under the rule of Bergey Rizkaliyev. The survey results next.
Вообще правление Бергея Rizkaliyeва запомнилось тем, что очень много хороших дорог сделано.
Bergey Rizkaliyev is generally remembered for many good paved roads that were built. Unlike before, lately it allows you to wear sandals, even in heavy rains, because the storm drainage system is in place. There are beautiful bridges, and the city in general has been greatly remodeled in recent years. We remember Bergey Rizkaliyev for the poor quality housing. 3 villages were moved to the city from Makhambet region. 47 families received housing in the 4-story apartment block, and a year later these flats were falling apart practically before our eyes. Black mold is everywhere, there is no wind insulation, all of our children were catching cold. The city becomes more developed. I'm not exactly sure if this had to do with him, but there are some benefits for senior citizens as well. So in general, I have no complaints against him. We've had asphalt roads and water supply line installed in our village during Bergey Rizkaliyev, and we're happy with this.
On Tuesday, the judge of Aktau Specialized Court, Berdibek Mirzabekov, announced a break until Monday in the case of opposition leader Vladimir Kozlov, leader of National Front Serik Sapargali, and civil activist Akjanat Aminov. The reason for this unexpected turn was the death of attorney Alexei Plugov's mother. It is noteworthy that on Monday, Judge Mirzabekov dismissed the petition of the defendant Kozlov to postpone the hearing, but on Tuesday, for some reason, he reversed his decision.
The decision to put the case of Vladimir Kozlov, Serik Sapargali, and Akshanat Aminov on hold was surprising to many. Only recently, the court turned down the request for a suspension in the case following the death of Kozlov's attorney's mother. However, later, the judge reconsidered his prior decision after Alexei Plugov, despite the severity of the situation, remained in court until the last minute. The lawyer did not leave for the funeral until after lunch when the proceedings were over. Human rights activist Evgeny Zhovtis regarded the judge's decision as reasonable and logical in the interests of justice. In the context of law, it is the right decision, Zhovtis said in an interview, adding that the case needs to be investigated objectively with all details taken into account. It is clear that the presence of the attorney who was involved in the case from the defendant's side at the time of the investigation is vital. The attorney knows all case materials not only from the standpoint of what was received. On Tuesday, experts were called to court to review excerpts of Kozlov, Sapargali, and Aminov's public speeches during their meetings with oil workers. Moreover, some of Vladimir Kozlov's telephone conversations with his party associates and Skype sessions in particular were subjected to review as well. When asked whether the prosecutor's office authorized wiretapping of phones, all the experts could say is that they are not authorized to talk about the matter. Evgeny Zhovtis questions the opinions of the expert panel and says all forensic examination centers operate under the Ministry of Justice. Moreover, the human rights activist who attends proceedings as an observer fails to understand what are the groups affected by the incited social hatred the defendants are charged with. Clearly, the government cannot be considered a social group, but it seems experts imply just that. It is not an easy thing to assess expert opinions because it is obvious that they were pulling words out of context. For one thing, they supposedly studied conversation in context, but they refused to answer questions from defendants who have based their questions on the context itself. It is important that we know exactly who said what. On Monday, Venera Sarsembina, the second defending lawyer of Vladimir Kozlov, revealed that witness testimonies differ in the Russian and Kazakh versions of the indictment. Moreover, the protocol of the witness Smadinov's interrogation looks tampered with. Sarsembina asked public prosecutors to take the fact into account and requested the court to consider indictment in both languages due to differences in testimonies. The witness interrogation protocol is said to be tampered with, as it was previously signed by another person and now it bears Kozlov's signature. Sarsembina insists on the investigation of the episode, as the indictment might have been falsified. The judge listened to the lawyer but gave no reaction, as the indictment must be void of any distortion. According to the defense, the initial conclusion of the witness, Smadinov's interrogation, is questionable, as it has strangely disappeared from the case file. Sarsembina is now ready to petition the court once the trial resumes work.
Я увидела, что, во-первых, обвинительное заключение, перевод вообще ложный, то есть в русском варианте другие показания Смадинова, казахский совсем другое.
First, the translation of the indictment has been made completely wrong. The Russian and Kazakh versions of Smadinov's testimony are quite different. However, such documents require exact translations into two languages. Second, I disagree with the public prosecutor. He says that the incompatibilities found in the indictment are just creative interpretations of the investigators. But this is clearly wrong, as testimonies should be recorded by the third person. That is what makes interrogations different from the indictment. The indictment raises doubts as well, since the witness said he had been interrogated 5 times, whereas the case file contains only 3 records. That's why I suppose some of the testimonies have either been falsified or removed altogether.
Поэтому у меня было сомнение, что или подменили, или куда-то дели, потому что сам свидетель говорит, что он 5 раз был допрошен, в деле всего 3 допроса.
The trial over the opposition politicians Vladimir Kozlov, Serik Sapargali, and human rights activist Akshanat Aminov will resume on August 27th. However, most human rights activists believe they already know about the judge's possible decision.
The defense team of border guard Vladislav Chelak, who is accused of killing 14 of his fellow soldiers and a huntsman at the Kazakh-Chinese border, are waiting to confront the investigator. This is done to clarify whether there was any pressure exerted on the soldier in order to receive the confession. KTK channel yet again featured another video recording on Monday where Chelak talks with medical experts and yet again described how he killed the border guards. To recap, after the examination, Vlad dismissed his previous testimonies, claiming that they were made under pressure. Next report has more.
I was very, very angry, and then my head just started spinning, and it was all like in a dream. It's a second take on the story with details about the killing of 15 people at the border outpost at Kankirgen. This time, border guard Ladislav Chelach is relaying it to doctors rather than investigators. On Monday, this video appeared on one of local TV channels. The unseen voice belongs to a doctor who is asking the soldier about the ill-fated night. The conversation looks like it is a part of the psychiatric evaluation, the outcomes of which have never been announced officially. However, after the appearance of the video, the issue of the young man's sanity or psychological state becomes less important. Chelach's defense team and supporters believe the leak was a part of the overall plan to convict him. Despite all this, they have forced him to give additional testimony, and he confirmed it because he could not do otherwise. He was under pressure from these people. In late May, charred bodies of 14 border guards and a huntsman were found at the Arkankirgen border outpost. It has been 3 months now that the forensic tests are being done on the victims' remains, just like DNA examination for 2 unidentified bodies. The investigation is confident all of them were killed by the only survivor, Private Chelach. The team even released his confession to the general public. After seeing it, independent experts suggested that Chelach's calm tone and composure possibly indicate he was just reciting what had been drilled into him. He saw the dead bodies, that's certain, but to what extent he participated in the killing, I can't say because there are signs pointing out he is either not telling everything or making something up on the spot. It has been a month since Private Chelach has changed his initial testimony. On July 25th, the soldier said he had been subjected to psychological pressure. On Tuesday, the border guard's lawyer, Serik Sarsenov, stated he was expecting a confrontation with the lead investigator on the case, which will make it clear whether torture was indeed used. The defender also calls the video leak an attempt to influence public opinion, as according to law, statements made during psychiatric evaluations are inadmissible as evidence. The explanations given to doctors during the evaluation have no judicial power as evidence, but if it has no judicial pull and if everything is done according to law in this case, it does not really make any difference. However, if they don't respect the law, as it often happens, then of course they will be referring to the video. I think that we will not find ourselves in a situation where they will refer to what is against the law. The lawyer is outraged by the fact that the defense is forced to sign a gagging order, while the media constantly gets leaks violating the secrecy of the investigation. At the same time, doctors of the National Psychiatric Center who evaluated Chelach said they have no idea about the source of the leak.
A well-known Kazakh journalist, Gennady Benditsky, who recently resigned from Vremya newspaper where he worked for 13 years, sees nothing criminal or unethical in the ad video. Benditsky had numerous publications saturated with facts which caused controversy among the public. Take, for example, the story with the woman's underwear, for what Benditsky was severely criticized by the readers. Journalist is confident that constant confessions and turndowns of testimonies will not save Chelach.
First of all, the testimony he gave a while ago is not classified investigative material because it was made public. Secondly, when we were talking about an obvious crime, and this is an obvious crime, what is there to hide? The offenders tend to confess and then renounce their testimonies and then confess in the courtroom again. However, it doesn't change the main point. It's not the confession that matters, but the number of facts.
Kazakhstan will not reinforce the border with Kyrgyzstan. This was voiced on Tuesday by the Border Patrol Agency of the National Security Committee.
A tragedy similar to the one at Arkankirgen broke out in the neighboring country on Monday when a border guard killed several people at Echkiltash outpost, located 20 kilometers away from the border with Kazakhstan. The victims were identified as the outpost commander, senior rifleman, warrant officer and contract soldier, and a wife of one of the officers. The suspected killer fled the scene with his gun. According to Kyrgyzstan's authorities, the massacre was caused by hazing at the outpost. Later in the day, the escaped border guard was killed in a shootout during detention. Kazakhstan Border Service will not step up security following the incident. The border is secured 24/7. All the necessary activities are performed normally, including by the guards.
The upcoming entry of Russia to the World Trade Organization will positively affect Kazakhstan's economy, concluded experts at a video conference between Moscow and Astana. Economists also expect Kazakhstan to enter WTO by the end of the year. The talks are being conducted under the veil of confidentiality.
Very few people in Russia understand the terms on which Kazakhstan is going to join the WTO. I don't know if our colleagues in Kazakhstan possess this kind of information, but if they do, it would be interesting to hear it. There are substantial grounds to believe that the rates in Kazakhstan will be lower than those of Russia. The parties have accumulated a series of questions and even some complaints against one another. Nikolai Radostovets, the head of the Association of Mining Companies in Kazakhstan, said that WTO is a good thing for everyone involved, but it's a shame that the parties did not get to enter simultaneously. Radostovets also pointed out issues within the customs union which are not going to be solved upon entering the international organization. This includes price dumping on behalf of Russian entrepreneurs in Kazakhstan, which creates difficulties for local entrepreneurs. Radostovets even suggested establishing a superstructural agency to investigate such cases. Recently, we've experienced price anti-dumping from Russian companies, which sell their products in Kazakhstan at prices 20 to 30% lower than in Russia. We realize this is the classic case of ousting certain domestic product manufacturers from the market.
The grade 12 and the report card instead of the usual 5. Kazakhstan schools are preparing to move to a new scoring system. Instead of the customary 5-point system, it will be based on 10 or 12 points. Deputy Minister of Education Makhmetgali Sarabekov spoke about it with journalists on Tuesday.
The 12-point grading system is currently used only in Nazarbayev intellectual schools, and it appears to be quite successful since other schools have decided to adopt the practice. According to Deputy Minister of Education and Science Makhmetgali Sarabekov, the adoption of the new grading system will be carried out gradually without causing stress to students. The project will be launched in 2015 and will last until 2020, when all schools will be switched to the 12-point. This 12-point grading system is better because it allows teachers to conduct a more objective assessment of students' knowledge. Although there is a difference between F and A, the range between 1 and 12 in the 12-point grading system gives teachers more objectivity and allows to show the students' abilities level to apply acquired knowledge.
A large fire was put out in Almaty, where houses containing paint and varnish products caught fire in the lower part of the town on Tuesday morning. The black plumes of smoke caught the attention of passers-by.
This video was recorded on a mobile phone by a warehouse employee. He believes the fire could have been caused by a shorted circuit in one of the manufacturing machines. The fire department received the emergency call at 9:26, immediately deploying several fire engines to the scene. The blaze was extinguished by 10 a.m. Firefighters were highly concerned about the hazardous paint stored in the warehouses along with other flammable substances. According to preliminary data, over 500 square meters were damaged by the blaze. Fortunately, no one was hurt. Electricians saw the smoke and rushed to the workshop to shut down the power supply. We went outside and saw the smoke coming out from one side and opened fire from the other, near the fence. About 10 minutes later, fire trucks were already at the scene and firefighters started putting out the flames. However, it kept going due to paint and flammable solutions inside the workshop. We got to the oxygen tanks and propane out of the building to avoid explosion.
Almaty authorities stripped local bus fleets the right to provide transportation services after another raid. Violations were found in 3 companies: Avto Almatrans, Batu Travel and Bus Fleet Number 2. Local authorities promised to provide municipal instead of the lacking public transportation to Almaty residents. The mayor's office spokesperson Sergei Kuyanov assured that it is a temporary occurrence and a tender will be soon announced for the available routes.
In July, several mobile teams inspected public shuttle bus operation in Almaty and found violations in almost every 3rd case. Said violations included disruption of schedule, sanitary state of vehicles and speeding. The city administration also reported that on Monday the Department of Public Transportation and Motor Roads was split into 2 subunits by the mayor decree. The public transportation will be controlled by the former head of Almaty Electrotrans, Talgat Abdrakhmanov, while the Department of Motor Roads will be headed by Vladimir Mirenkov. Meanwhile, the staff of the municipal bus fleet claim they have not received any instructions from the city administration and still continue to operating the same routes.
Kazakhstan's cakes and cookies are unnatural and too high in calories, says the eminent pastry chef from Paris, Valentina Stefanio. She visited Pavlodar and gave a masterclass to local cooks.
Shortbread bottom with almond cream inside, and there is blackberry in the cream. Great, we're doing great so far. What's next? The pastry chef from Paris spent only 3 days in Kazakhstan, but still managed to teach her Pavlodar colleagues how to surprise even the pickiest of sweet teeth. Valentina Stefanio gave excellent grades during the evaluation of her apprentice's skills. The guest, though, was not happy with local pastry, saying there's too much sugar and fat in it and not enough natural ingredients. Powders are widely applied. For instance, there is no natural vegetable creamer and it's all artificial. Artificial butter is also used instead of real one. Basically, natural products are not used.
This is all we have time for now. Thank you for watching. Stay well.